Joe Biden, the former vice president, seems to believe that he is the man to take on President Trump in 2020. He's reportedly making calls to donors, spent all last week doing that, getting ready to make his decision in the coming weeks. Good evening, everybody. I'm Martha MacCallum, and this is The Story. The former vice president saying, according to reports, if you can persuade me there is somebody better who can win, I'm happy not to do it. But I don't see the candidate who can clearly do what has to be done to win. President Obama calling for essentially the exact opposite. Watch this.
One of the challenges we have in this world is people clinging on to power instead of seeing the power in other people. We have a deficit of leadership and we need new blood.
Need new blood and a deficit of leadership. Elizabeth Warren and Democrat mega donor Tom Steyer pulling their party further to the left, both of them gearing up now in Iowa. Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell from California has also not ruled out a run. So who's the strongest Democrat? Is Joe Biden right about his position in 2020? Good to see you this evening, Congressman. Thank you for being here tonight.
Of course. Good evening, Martha.
So talk to me a little bit about whether or not you believe that Joe Biden's right here.
I don't agree with him. I love Joe Biden. He's done a lot for our country. But we have the benefit of so many talented people considering running for president, and I don't think we'll go wrong if any of them become the nominee. So it's not a matter of who's better. It's just, who's different and, whether their vision for America can make sure the promise of America that if you work hard, you do better for yourself and dream bigger for your kids can connect with everyone. So, the water's warm. Come on in.
Come on in. All right. So, and how about you? Are you going to come on in?
Now, I'm considering it. I'm very close and have been invited to Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina. I'm going to go there in the next few weeks. Have a big job to do. The voters, put a Democratic majority in the Congress to collaborate on infrastructure, the DREAM Act, background checks, making sure they have health care protection. So I'm going to do that job. But I'm getting very close, honestly, Martha, to making that decision.
All right. So, you've got Joe Biden obviously looks at 2016 and says, I could have pulled in those voters in places like Western Pennsylvania, Michigan, Ohio, Wisconsin. He believes that he's the guy who could have clearly done that and that job was not done by Hillary Clinton. Then you've got the newer blood in the party, as President Obama refers to it, as, people who want to really build on what happened in the midterms, those suburban voters and, stay concentrated in the cities across this country. And a lot of the further left part of your party is advocating things like this. Let's watch this from Julian Castro and Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez.
But once you get to the tippy tops, on your $10 millionth dollar, sometimes you see tax rates as high as 60 or 70%.
I can support folks at the top paying their fair share. There was a time in this country where the top marginal tax rate was over 90%.
Should we be going back there again?
Well, I think when it comes to our tax system, we don't want to divide success in America. We want to multiply success. But right now you're seeing that only people who work on the top floors are benefiting from this economy. So whether it's, increasing the tax rate for the highest...
You have wage growth at the lower end. And in fact, people with high school diplomas are the ones who've benefited the most from the increase in employment in this country.
Well, Martha, I come from a family that knew grit and want. I was the first in my family to go to college. I grew up in a town called Dublin where we were called Scrublin by everyone else. And when I talk to my constituents, it bears out what we see across America, which is about 2 out of 3 of every person in this country have less than $1,000 in savings. That's not making it in America. So if wage growth is going up and not matching the cost of goods and services and health care, what does it mean and what is it for? And that's, I think, the way you're going to have to connect as a presidential candidate. You're going to have to tell those working families that they will do better and look at their kids and believe that they can dream bigger for them.
A lot of people have gotten together with Hillary Clinton, John Hickenlooper, Cory Booker, Eric Garcetti from Los Angeles, Elizabeth Warren. Is that something that you need as a potential candidate? Do you need to talk to Hillary Clinton, or is, losing twice not necessarily the best bona fides for advice?
Well, I mean, she was a leader in our country. I don't think you have to, back up the bus and, run her over. I think, her advice would be helpful. But I think the candidate that sees this election is a big blank canvas board who wants to go big, be bold, and do good. That's the path forward. That's what Americans looked for in the midterms when they sent 27 candidates in their 40s and under to help us win the House to solve problems, and again, lift up the fortunes of every person, connect the disconnected, people who felt like the American dream was becoming out of reach.
Well, John Yarmuth, the Democrat from Kentucky, seems to think that when you back up the bus, it's going to be full of subpoenas. Here he is talking about that. And it's a quote. I will read it. I joked for a while, but it's not funny anymore. I said that we're going to have to build an air traffic control tower to keep track of all the subpoenas flying from here to the White House. Do you think that that's what Americans want from the Democrat Party?
I think they want us to collaborate, as I said, on those issues where Donald Trump actually, he rightly identified that we need infrastructure, that we need background checks, that we need to pass the DREAM Act. Now, Republicans never brought those up for votes, and he never, led and pushed them. Now he will see those bills hopefully come to his desk. But yes, the days of presidential immunity where abuses of power can occur without a balance of power, those days are over, and we're going to do our job. But I would submit to my colleagues that we do that job judiciously and make sure that if we're investigating anything, we can explain to the American people why it affects their everyday life.
I just want to ask you one more thing about Joe Biden, because you said, that you liked the fact that younger people had won in the midterms. Do you think he's too old?
No. But I think we cannot necessarily count on the same old leaders to solve the same old problems. That's why so many young people without any elected experience at all stepped up and ran for office. They felt this call to service. And I think going forward, if we're going to have a health care guarantee, if we're going to green the grid, if we're going to have a debt-free education, we're going to need people, who have not been in this effort and failed in the past. We're going to need people who believe that we can actually do that and have the energy to make it happen.
All right. Thank you very much, Eric Swalwell. Good to see you tonight.
My pleasure.
We'll look forward to hearing about whether or not you're going to run. Sounds like a lot of people are going to run, maybe even more than last time.